Om Namah Shivaya. Welcome back to inthekhud. 17 November 2023, 11:31 AM, and you can see that my voice hasn't come back completely, but I have come back because there's something important that I want to document. I'm gonna hope that from now on inthekhud can be an everyday upload like it is supposed to be, but we'll see. So in this video, we're documenting how you can create a collage art effect right inside of DaVinci Resolve Fusion. So this is something we're gonna create in this video, where there's a newspaper kind of opening thing which opens up like this. It reveals something underneath it, and then it goes back in. This is not perfect because the mask I have to still work on it. It goes back in and then it goes away. First thing I'm going to do is right click here and say new fusion composition. We're going to say collage that for tutorial, and we're going to double click to open this. So it by default is just going to have a media out. Let's start with the image that we're going to use. So that image I have placed inside here. You can just drag it and drop it here. So this dry waste. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this node because it gets very confusing very fast. So we're going to call this dry waste. And we're going to plug this in here. So right now you just directly see this on your second monitor. If you want, you can place this on your first monitor by pressing 1 and 2. It will make no difference at this point because there's only one node here. Second thing I want to do is I want to bring in that PNG sequence. Okay, so if I can right click and reveal this in Explorer. Yep, open file location. So this is the PNG sequence that I've gotten from the AtomX Envato pack that I bought a few weeks ago. I'm going to create a new bin here and call it PNG sequence. If you have a PNG sequence, you want to select all of them, Control A, and then drag it directly into your node 3 here. And we're going to call this paper in. We have to merge the two together. I'm going to take this and drag it here. So now both of them are merged. Now, an important point here is how do you change the composition settings of your Fusion comp, right? Because inside After Effects you can just say Control K and you change the composition settings. Here it's a little different. So the way you do that is, one thing you want to notice that the merge node always needs something like a background going into its a background node going into its background. So I'm going to remove the dry waste for the moment, and you'll see that nothing is showing up. Like even though paper in is clubbed into the merge and it's going in here, nothing is showing up as such. It's in the foreground. Okay, that's because there's no background node. So you drag a background node here and you plug this into the background of the merge node. Now what's going to happen is, if I zoom out, you're going to see that this paper roll kind of thing is working. So if I select this background and go into its image, here you have your width and height settings. So you can change this, but you will see that it's not quite changing because the auto resolution is ticked. So now you can change the composition settings, so to speak. So of the background which is plugged into the merge of your node. So now for the first 5 frames, you have something like this opening up. Let me try and plug this onto the foreground here. We're going to need one more merge. So I'm going to bring this here, and now we have both. So this merge node here is going to control only this part, which is this. So we can scale that up and do whatever we want to do with it. I'm going to take these and say Control P. That will mute those nodes because we'll discuss about this later. The first thing I want to do is, how do I make a polygonal mask kind of thing which is opening up like this while this is happening. So one more thing is, you're going to see that the background node that you've added has a black color to it. So you can go into color and bring the alpha to 0, because that's something that we want, because we're going to use this as an effect and we don't want to have that black background. So bring the alpha to 0 for the background node. This one I'm going to drag this here, and we're going to make a polygonal mask on what? We're going to make a polygonal mask on the dry waste. We're gonna unmute these, and in this polygonal mask I'm gonna rename this node to in mask. Without mask I'm not worried about right now. So for this polygonal mask, in mask, I'm gonna take this node and put this in here. If you see, this blue socket is your mask. So if I put this here into effect mask, you're gonna see that the dustbin is gonna essentially vanish. You want to be able to see the things. When you have this node selected, you can come into it's gonna be the first frame, and you can draw a mask. So I'm gonna just roughly draw it right now because I just want to demonstrate. Okay, so you see that mask has been drawn, and because it is drawn in this manner, you see that the thing underneath is showing up. Now you can take your time to make it as perfect as you like, but I'm gonna not spend a lot of time. Over here in your inspector, you see right click here for shape animation. you can right click and say set key. Okay, now I'm gonna move one frame forward. For some reason it doesn't move sometimes. Okay, now it does, and drag it here. Again, I'm doing it roughly. If you hold down control and move one of these handles, then only that particular handle will be moved. So here, hold down control, you can bring this here, hold down control, bring this here. So we get something like this if we play from the start. The paper crumple is happening and this is happening like this. Now of course you will see that one problem here is that the scale of the dustbin isn't enough. So I'll probably bring this up a little. Over here, right in the beginning, I wanted to not be visible at all. So for this polygonal mask, I'm going to try and add a scale keyframe to it. So on the first frame, I'm going to come into this polygonal mask and give its size a keyframe at 1. We're going to go behind and give it size. One more thing I don't like is you have to come in and select everything and then you can add a keyframe. Okay, so now nothing is shown and here you start seeing things show up. You can take your time to tweak this to your liking, but this is how the effect works. Okay, now once you've done that, what you want to do is you want to actually even reverse the whole process. I'm going to show you how that reverse process works. So it seems pretty obvious that you want to take this mask and just reverse everything that you've done for it to close, and it wasn't as obvious as it sounds. So let me try and break it down. Over here you have an out mask going on dry waste, so we're going to drag this merge here on dry waste 2. I'm going to say copy these and paste. We're going to rename this to out mask. For this you're going to select the out mask here and you can just come in here and press invert, so it will do the exact opposite of what we wanted to do. So instead of opening up, it closes down. But because this is here, I have to mute this first, and now you will see that the mask is basically following in the reverse direction. If I even mute this, what you want to do is you want to come in here and move these keyframes towards the very end, or let's say if our composition was ending at 100 frames, okay, you know, come towards the end and do that. How do you move that keyframes forward? You can't just copy paste keyframes. You have to go into this keyframe tab, and here you get kind of an NLA situation. So your out mask is gonna have these keyframes. You can just select it and drag it till it reaches to the end, kind of like this. So now that mask opening, it's inverted basically, will happen over here, which is what we want. And let me also unmute this. Now one final thing that we want to add is we're going to take another merge node, bring it here, and we need this whole paper situation, but we want to reverse it. So I'm going to say Control C, Control V, paste it here, okay, and the merge. So we can probably take this up. I'm going to rename this to paper out. This paper out, you wanted to play where? Over here. Oh my god. You wanted to play here where the mask situation starts. Okay. So this is opening. Now this has to close. So you're going to take paper out, and over here you can select the reverse. So now it is closing.
20 minutes later.
Okay, I'm not quite able to figure out why we have this red kind of nonsense nodes happening here. But I think I've covered basically whatever I wanted to document. This is what I learned yesterday. I will continue working on this and I will get back on with my progress on this tomorrow. Thanks for being in the code. I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace.